In a world that is consuming so much electricity per day, energy is almost essential for living in most parts of the world. For years, fossil fuels such as oil and coal have been the suppliers of the world's energy. But the depletion of resources and the harmful effects of carbon emissions has left much of the world looking for a new energy source, specifically a renewable and clean energy source. Hydropower, solar power, and nuclear power are all good options, but it is wind power that has been the fastest growing energy source in the world.
According to the fossilfuels.uk.com, disadvantages of coal are burning coal emits harmful waste such as carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfuric acids, arsenic, and ash. It also emits twice as much carbon dioxide when compared with natural gas to produce the same level of heat, which increase the levels of harmful greenhouse gases emitted into the Earth's atmosphere. Carbon dioxide emissions from the burning of fossil fuels now account for about 65% of the extra carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. The burning of coal by large-scale factories to power industries has led to acid rains in some regions. Coal can be cleaned or turned into a liquid or gas, but this technology has yet to be fully developed and adds to the expense of creating fuel via coal. Coal mining can scar the landscape, and the equipment used for mining is large and noisy, which may affect local wildlife. Transporting coal can be problematic because it requires an extensive transportation system and can also cause additional pollutants in the form of emissions from transportation vehicles such as lorries, etc. The greenhouse effect is when the atmosphere of Earth traps radiation emitted by its sun caused by gases such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane that allows incoming sunlight to pass through but retain heat radiated back from the planet's surface.
We had the opportunity to speak with Shane Barry. Shane has a degree in civil engineering from NC State and is a STEM teacher at Athens Drive High School. How have fossil fuels affected the Earth?
So the burning of fossil fuels gives off CO2, which is affecting the balance of gases in our atmosphere. So changes in temperature, changes in mix of gases, things that objects such as animals, plants can breathe, take in, different substances that's changed drastically because of this extra CO2 that's being put in the atmosphere.
The process of producing wind energy starts with the rotor blades. The blades lift and rotate when wind is blown over them, causing the rotor to spin. Once the energy goes through the rotors, it goes through the pitch system, which controls the rotor speed and keeps the rotor from turning in winds that are too high or too low to produce electricity. The low speed shaft turns at about 30 to 60 rotations per minute. The gearbox connects the low speed shaft to the high speed shaft and increases rotational speeds fast enough so the generators can produce the electricity. Finally, the generator produces the electricity. Why should society accept wind power?
Well, really any green energy is going to produce less of these CO2 gases. So any green energy will be helpful. Wind is something that's plentiful in there, a renewable resource. So any renewable resource that we can start using on a larger scale will be very helpful as far as this balance of gases in the atmosphere.
Wind power is also socially accepted. because it is not only a reliable source to fixing the US's energy crisis, but it also helps to create thousands of jobs in the US. The average US wind farm creates 1,079 jobs, reports find. Some of the negative ecological effects of wind power is that it requires a great amount of space. So, to get this space, you would have to clear cut forest or find open land that could hold the amount needed to create sufficient energy. A solution to this negative effect is to put more offshore wind turbines. These offshore wind turbines cost more money to install, but can create much more energy due to the constant wind from the ocean. Another problem with wind turbines, even though it isn't a huge problem, is that they have been known to kill a few migratory birds that flew into their turbines. This isn't a huge problem due to the fact that there have been very few reports of these birds being knocked down by turbines.
Now here are a few examples of wind turbine failures. But with these negative effects, can wind power still be a solution to our energy problem? Is wind power a possible solution to lead us away from fossil fuels?
I would say it's certainly part of a solution. I don't think wind power, because it's not as prevalent in certain areas of the earth as in others, right? So where the land meets the sea, you've got more wind generated. Because of mountains in certain areas, you've got more wind generated, or even flat plains, depending on topography and things like that. Wind power in certain areas can be extremely helpful. But to say it's going to be a standalone solution, I would say no. That's unlikely. So it's part of a solution, and it's a major part of a solution, specifically in certain areas where wind is high. But it's not going to be the standalone solution by itself. There's going to have to be other types of green energy that go into it as well.
So how are scientists trying to make wind energy a solution for all parts of the world? One direction that researchers have been looking into is the development of offshore wind farms. According to Planet Energies, researchers have also been looking into using existing offshore oil platforms that are no longer used to put wind farms on in order to save production costs. Another future development in wind power is the Altairos airborne wind turbine, founded in 2010 at MIT. The Buoyant Airborne Turbine, or BAT, is easily transportable and proven durable even in 100+ mile-an-hour winds and heavy precipitation. The heaviest winds are found the higher you go into the atmosphere, which means the BAT is able to produce more energy. Another advantage of the BAT is that it can be used anywhere, places with little wind on the surface, natural disasters, and even military operations. Wind power is socially accepted because it is renewable and clean. It is economically good because it creates new jobs, and it is environmentally friendly because it does not give off CO2 emissions. We as humans have a choice. We can continue to use fossil fuels and go down a road that will eventually come to an end, or we can make the transition to wind power and endeavor a new path in the way that we produce our energy.